What's up, everybody? Welcome. We are back with another episode of The Weird Perspective. My name is Darry. I'm with my amazing co-host, my bro E-Rod to the G, aka Eddie in the place to be. What's happening?
Yo. Glad to have be on again and having us guys, and we appreciate you guys watching and listening to us. Glad to have another week and do this.
Yeah, for sure. We want to apologize for not having a podcast. Last week we had ran into some technical difficulties. But we getting used and we learning and we building this plane at the same time as we fly it. So things happen, you don't have backup plans, and so there you go. You gotta roll with the punches. But we here, nevertheless, back with episode number 2. We're gonna be talking about some real stuff today. So this is a grown and sexy episode today. We're gonna be talking about some marriage. But man, before we get into that, man, we got some big things, some little things, but big things, exciting things to talk about that we want to share with y'all. But before that, how you been, bro? How's your week been? What's going on? What's new with you?
It's been good, man. No complaints over here, man. Nothing's gonna be perfect throughout the week, right? But just the busyness of life, no normal, hustle and bustle with kids, a wife with 4 kids, and dealing with home life and work.
Yeah.
But it's been a pretty typical week. A little bit more productive this week. Had a lot of errands to run, and I think we knocked them out. And otherwise, it's been good. If we can just get this weather on board.
Man, this weather's been crazy, man. One day it want to be 70, the next day it want to be 45. Today was 35 and snowing. We like, what's going on with the weather, man? So yeah, it's Chicago though for you. So I think it snowed until May last year. So you never know what you're gonna get. So you just gotta pack the sweaters, the coats, the rain boots, the Timberlands, and the trunk at the same time.
We always ready, man.
Yeah, you gotta be ready. But man, some big things happening in sports, man. It's been the NBA is getting ready to go into the playoffs, man. We got the NCAA tournament going on right now. So it's been exciting, man. I just got done. I got the Bulls hat on because I was watching the Bulls game. I had my son and my daughter in here with me, and the baby was coming in and out randomly into the room. We was watching it up in the office. I had it up on the computer. Good game. Bulls won, beat Cleveland. We should have won. We definitely had better won. But yeah, so it was a good game. Very long fourth quarter, man. It was like that last 9 seconds seemed like 10 minutes. It was like, can we get this over with and wrap this up? Man, it was calls and challenges and just jump balls. It's like, man, let's go, man. It's 4 more points. Let's get out of here. But it was a good game, man. It was a good game.
Yeah. I know that the Bulls been really struggling, man. I don't know if you saw that stat. It was like we're 0-16 versus like contending teams or teams with a better than 500 record. It's like, are you serious, man? As good as we've been this year, it's just like, come on, man.
Yeah,
we can't play big teams, man. I don't know, man.
We ain't play no tough people. We went on like that 10-game winning streak. It was all against scrub teams. And then we got a 5-game stretch coming up where we play some tough teams. The Clippers, the Bucks, Miami's in there. So there's some tough teams in there, dude. So I don't know. Some back-to-backs, Boston and Milwaukee, I think are the 2 back-to-backs that we got. So those are going to be some tough games, man. So
yeah.
I just, we should be able to still make the playoff. At least we could pull off a couple of those games. And we'll see what happens. But other big news is your boy came back, man. Kyrie Irving, the mayor of New York, came to his senses, man. He got rid of that whole the mandate with the vaccinations for residents and all that. So Kyrie he's back, man. He could play in all the home games.
Dude, man, that dude, I don't know what they were waiting for, man. Did you see like when he was walking in, they got him walking into the arena, like no mask and everything, and it's like this dude
Yeah,
can't play games.
yeah, it was so weird. He's literally walking around. He had the long coat on. He's high fiving everybody. He's talking, no mask on, but he can't play on the court. It was retarded. But I mean, we'll see what happens. The good thing is that we'll be able to watch him down the stretch going into the playoffs. They had a big game tonight. They busted up the Miami Heat, man. They busted them up. I expected that game to be much more of a close battle, but it turned out to be a blowout, man.
Miami struggling, dude.
Miami struggling. They're struggling.
Man, they're one of my teams, man. I got them like on my top 3, like gonna win the championship type list, and it's like, oh man, you guys are so disappointing right now. But hopefully they get it together, man. By the time this is all over with.
I don't know if they're gonna do all that. They're kind of falling apart right now. You had the blow up that happened. Was that a couple games ago? Spoelstra threw the clipboard down. Jimmy got into it. You got the OG what's his name? Haslam. He was getting in Jimmy's face like, you ain't finna be coming at my coach, bro. I've been here 20 years. It was finna go down.
Like they got him. Hey, they got him there just for that. He was waiting for the cue, like,
yeah, he the big enforcer.
Right
you better not ever disrespect, man. Like, ever.
My cue. I'm coming. This is my.
I ain't gonna play in the game, but I'm gonna be in all the fights though.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't think I don't know if he ever gonna retire, even when he not on the team. Like they gonna hire him as like the coach.
No, they taking care of him. They already got that written out.
Yeah, he a plug thug out there. You know, Miami. That's his home. That's his home city. That's where he's from. So he's happy. He's content with being there. So, but man, who you got for this MVP? It's coming down. You got a lot of big dogs.
You know what, man? This is a hard one this year. You got so many teams kind of like up and down. Like usually you see one team pull away. A lot of good teams are up and down. But I definitely think Embiid should be up there just because he doesn't have one. He needs to be up there. He has to get one.
He averages 29 right now.
Yeah, Embiid for sure. Who else we got there? We got Giannis for sure. Giannis has to be in the conversation.
He averaging 29 too.
And then I see Booker, right? As of lately, they've been blowing him up like, man.
Booker been balling without Chris Paul. They've been doing their thing without Chris Paul.
Yeah. So he needs to be recognized. And then I do really think that maybe around, if we're going to kind of name it a top 5 or whatever, I think Ja Morant needs to be in there. Just because nobody saw Memphis being this good and so consistently good. He's just been playing lights out. Like he literally reminds me of a little bit of Derrick Rose, man, back in the day when he first came in. Just the athleticism and skill.
Yeah, well, I mean they're 15-2 when he doesn't play.
Wow.
So the team overall is a really good team.
Yeah.
And so he just makes them even more better. So. Yeah, they've been balling. I got my little 5 right here. People that I think should be considered for MVP. I got Booker on there. He's averaging 28. We got Tatum. Don't sleep on Tatum. He averaging 32 right now. That boy is playing. He balling right now. I got Embiid. He averaging 29. I got Jokic. He averaging 26, and I got the Greek Freak.
Yeah.
Them my 5 that I got right now.
That's a good 5. I think you hit it right on now. The Joker has to be in there, man. That dude's, as much as he don't look like a great player, like you just seen him down the street, you might think he play a little bit of ball, but not as good as he is.
Yeah.
It's kind of if I can be honest, his game is a little ugly, but I'm not calling him ugly, but the way he's playing ball sometimes is ugly. But
it works, man. He getting buckets, though. It works. It works, man. He getting buckets.
He dropping them down.
Yeah. But man, so you've been checking out this NCAA, this bracket?
Yeah, man, been following. I got a little something on it.
You got a little something on it? All right, is your team still around or are they gone?
Yeah, no, we're doing squares, but I like UNC. I think somebody's gonna knock them off though. The way they played UCLA, was that yesterday? UCLA, they showed that if you got some strong athletic guards and wingmen that'll kind of physically give them some trouble, somebody can knock them off.
Yeah.
Somebody in the top 6 or 8 or whatever, somebody's gonna knock them off. I don't see them going all the way now. Duke, on the other hand, I think they're built to win it all.
That's my pick. I got Duke going all the way. They literally just won. They just knocked out Arkansas 78-69. The game
Nice.
just ended. Yeah, I got Duke going all the way. Well, the team that I wanted to win, and it wasn't because I'm a fan of them or anything like that. I like the history of the school is Michigan.
Yeah.
And I like Juwan Howard. And so I thought it would have been a really good look for him overcoming the situation that he ran into with the other coach and being suspended.
Yeah.
To redeem himself, going out, at least making it to the Final Four. I had them, but
Right.
they lost. And then so now I'm rocking with Duke. I think Duke's gonna take it off. They're gonna Coach K's last year. They're gonna play. They're gonna ball out for him and at least get them to the Final Four. But I'm picking them to win it all.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
Definitely see that.
yeah. So we're gonna go into this other little segment, man, that I wanna talk to you about for a little bit, man. And we're gonna call this segment is accountability.
Okay.
Accountability and the lack of it that we see going on in the world today, man. And so I just want to ask a question, right? And then to believe anybody who's watching or listening to this, if you're watching this on YouTube, go in the comments, you can answer this. And so, like, what should happen to people that make false claims? We got a lot of false claims, and it's ruining a lot of people's lives. It's messing up a lot of people money. And when these things come out that these people were lying, nothing happens to them. They just get a slap on the wrist, or their character might be messed up, but they don't go to jail. They don't get any fines, nothing like that. You don't sometimes you don't even hear about them no more. They just ride off into the sunset and continue going about their business, but the damage has already been done to the innocent person. You know what I'm saying? They put this false claim out about it. And I think that, and it's so easy and it's messed up, man, to that nothing happens to those people. I think those people should go to jail. I'm just being honest about how I feel about it.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I think what do you call it? Our principles are supposed to be rooted in truth, and I think there's laws of the land that we have to follow. And if we're going to hold integrity and follow the laws of the land, I think we have to abide by them. And making a false claim is really, it's kind of hard to speak on, because the way the world system kind of works is that you can find an attorney, you can find a legal resource to kind of defend you and twist everything up. But I think as Christians, right, we're called to walk in truth. And it's something that we should abide by, and there's punishment and consequences for our actions. So those things really should be a priority.
Yeah. I mean, definitely we know as Christians, well, some of us know, but if you don't know, and if you are a Christian or a new believer, trying to find your way and continuing to read scriptures, we know that Proverbs 3:30, right? Do not accuse anyone without cause.
Yeah.
It's a basic biblical principle, right? Falls under the whole love of your neighbor as you would love yourself. So, don't lie and put out any false accusations. And so we know that everybody who is not a Christian, they're not going to fall into this. And even some Christians struggle in this area themselves, but we have a guideline. And so, but I really want to talk about this case, man, with what's his name? Jesse Smollett. um, Jesse Smollett. I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
And him being released to jail. Just the whole case itself is bananas to me. The whole thing is bananas. And the fact that it happened here in our home city, the great city of Chicago.
I'm telling you.
This is crazy. The place that it happened, like nothing like that ever happens here, bro. Number one, we already know this is a pretty liberal, Democrat state, city, right? But it ain't, hate crimes ain't just running rampant like that in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like I know the news puts out violence, and it's a pretty bad city, you know, as far as violence and gangs and stuff like that. But it's not as crazy as a lot of people think it is. You know, like I lived in Ohio, and the moment I went to Ohio, a lot of people just instantly thought that I was a gang member, that I had a whole bunch of guns, that I had either shot somebody or I had been shot myself. They automatically had this image of me that I never put out.
Yeah.
And I had to shut a lot of that stuff down. And so me and you know, being born and raised here, even living here as currently, we know how the city is. We know the bad neighborhoods, we know the good neighborhoods, and even the quote unquote bad neighborhoods, they're not like, it ain't just guns popping off all day. You know, like you can walk to the store, you can even go to a park or whatever. You know, it's like a handful of people that kind of affect the whole neighborhood. It's not the whole neighborhood itself.
Right.
But getting back to Jesse, man, it's he planned it, faked an attack. They found all the evidence in his crib. The other dudes, right, the two African guys, they admitted to it. They got the whole paper trail, all the receipts, right? They did this stuff. Why are we still talking about this, and why is he not in jail?
I'm telling you. I don't know why there's so much pushback. I think he kind of expected less of a, I don't know what exactly he expected, but maybe not to get as no, not even that. Not that he would think that he'd get a slap on the wrist, but really the judge is actually being really fair, right? What'd they give him? Was it 100?
They gave him like 5 months in jail.
Yeah, like 5 months in jail. Right.
And then it was
probation time, right?
I think it was $150,000 fine or something like that.
Yeah. And the Bible is clear about that stuff. Like in Romans 13, it says that those who refuse to obey the laws, right, of the land, or are refusing to obey God, and punishment will follow. So there's consequences for our actions. And then it likens that those who don't choose right, they're giving two analogies, right? Obeying the law of principles of the Bible, but they're saying that the laws of the land should be obeyed as well, and there's consequences for that. Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it's a pretty simple thing, but I'm not too sure where he almost seems delusional, and God forbid I'm not accusing him of that, you know, but he is claiming to have some mental some mental health issues.
I mean, if you've been free and you've been rich most of your life, and somebody said they don't like you in the cell, that'll cause anybody that has some anxiety. But nevertheless, dude, you did this. You brought this on yourself. Ain't nobody tell you to go buy a noose and put it around your neck and do all these things. Like,
then they got the evidence. This is like, what else do you expect?
But I mean, this is the thing, that the lack of accountability. Like, it's just like, I can do something and there's all the evidence there. And now when it's time for me to get sentenced, it's like, oh no, I'm gonna play that I'm sick or I have mental health issues and all that stuff. Well, did you have mental health issues when you faked this attack?
And I have to admit, I want to add something to that, because, you know, the Bible talks about the lawless time, and obviously it's pretty obvious we're living, right, these days that are lawless.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to personally confess that the influence of the world, man, of being able to, I guess not so much obey the law, but almost have your own right in every circumstance without paying for a consequence, or, you know what I'm saying, paying for the consequence of your actions. I know I joked with a brother, like, man, I get stopped by the cop, dude, I ain't stopping. I was saying, as soon as he get out that car, I'm driving off. But and I had to check myself, right? Because you start reading these things and you start spending time with God and the Word, and it'll convict you, man. And you're not exempt from this, just because we Christians, we live in this world too, and
Yeah.
we're no different than anybody else. We gotta abide by the laws of the land, and
There's no get out of jail free card for being a
exactly,
Christian.
exactly, right. It says right, and it also says that we should be careful and be wise to how we use our freedom, right? Not to indulge in things that would be considered a sin, right? We're not trying to obey no laws, and we're just trying to be our own. You know what I'm saying? Like, just we're trying to censor ourselves and kind of prejudge ourselves, and we try to come out free from
it. Or even like, the Bible tells us to obey the laws of the land, and so sometimes as Christians we feel like, well, I don't like that law because we feel like it doesn't line up with the word. Right. And so we'd be like, well, I ain't gonna obey that, or whatever it is. But God knew when he gave us that command what laws and all these things that were going to be into play, right? And so our job is just to obey. Like, it's illegal, right, to own a Bible in China. So they have to rip up the Bible and pass different books around and be secretive with it. Are they breaking the law? Yeah, but it's I need the word. You know what I'm saying? Like, so some laws we gotta break because we call and we obey a higher power. But this woman, I don't know if you've read the article or heard about the information with the woman. They didn't put her name out, but she accused Chris Brown of rape.
Oh, I remember our conversation on this.
And he had
yeah.
And he's been in, some very similar issues and some sketchy situations in the past and stuff like that. But to my knowledge, I don't really follow him, but I haven't heard anything like crazy. The biggest thing was like the stuff with Rihanna, and then you hear about little beefs and stuff like that. But this woman accused him of straight up rape.
Yeah.
And then he puts out the receipts, right? Puts out the voicemail that she left on him saying that I just want to, get down with you again, and I just want to be with you, and blah blah blah. And it's like, this dude, name getting dragged through the mud and all this other stuff, probably get dropped from some tours and shows and different things like that. Man, she should go to jail. I ain't heard anything about anything happening to her, but I hope he presses charges and pursues. And I'm not like on here trying to like bash women or anything like that. I'm speaking about this one particular woman, so don't lump her in the category with like all women. I just want to clarify that. I'm talking strictly about people who make false claims,
right?
And try to.
We're sticking to that subject at hand. We're not out here trying to.
Yeah, we're not saying like all women or anything like that. Yeah, don't do that. Listen, we talking about particular people, this direct person that made the false claim. Nobody else. So, but anybody else. If it's a man that does it, if it's a teenager, a little kid, like the consequences fit the crime. And I think when you're trying to take money out of people's pocket and possibly have them go to jail, I think when your claim comes out to be false, then you need to suffer that same fee.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. And not much is said about that because it's looked at like I guess we have to go. The word I says much is given, much is required, right? If we get the celebrities on a high pedestal or positions, right, of celebrity status, or just because their salary or what they make, puts them at that status, they got to be held to a higher standard, and also, but like you said, like at the same time, people that are gunning and shooting for them and trying to kind of demean their character and their and bring, trying to just kind of money grab on these individuals, they should be punished They should be punished and pay a hefty fine as well. Because I feel like it never really goes the other way. And I don't want to like sound biased, but it really sounds and seems that way a lot because it's common. And in the sports world, we got athletes that make a lot of money, and
Yeah.
I know they don't put themselves in the best positions at times, but
Yeah, I was just
they're
about to
human.
say that, man. These dudes gotta be smart, man. I think the NBA actually has like a class and training that they put these dudes do on how to spend their money, what type of crowds and environments to be in. They talk to them about that stuff. But yeah, these men, they have to make better choices, man. And I think that's why, the topic that we're going to get into later, I think that it's so important. There's probably another point that I could have made just now is that when you commit into being in a relationship with a woman that you know that she's in it with you, not just trying to take your money, but you're in a committed relationship. It's the benefits of not having to worry about, man, is this woman, you know, gonna try to get me, or man, is she really on my team? Is she really on my side? And you don't gotta worry about that when you in a committed relationship and you meet a woman outside of those situations that a lot of these dudes be meeting these women at, the clubs, strip clubs and stuff like that. It's like, you probably ain't gonna meet your wife there.
Right.
It might happen. It's probably rare, but most of the time, you probably ain't gonna meet your wife at the strip club, bro. You might want to just handle your business and allow that situation to happen organically, and not be chasing it, or trying to force it because she's, she looks very attractive. And so these dudes got to make better decisions, man.
And we don't condone sin, right? We're not condoning sin.
Yeah,
Not at the very least. But if you are going to put yourself in those positions, like, have a team, have some security, have a driver that drives you back home, like, have it set up. I mean, you got enough money, you got enough resources around you to put yourself in the best position to get back home safe and make sure none of these things kind of happen. But it seems like there's a pride, obviously there's a pride thing there, but it just be, it comes with I guess that pride struggle, and in a lot of cases it gets the best of them, and they feel like, hey, I'm an athlete, I can, take up for myself, and I got this money, I got money to buy everything.
I got money to pay for the lawyer, pay for bail. You know what, man? Billy Graham, in one of his devotional books, was talking about accountability. He made a very good point, and he said he was the story was that he was somewhere, right, doing some speaking or preaching or whatever he was doing, but he never went anywhere without a team, without a accountability partner or partners, right? And in this one particular incident, he's already like pretty famous. A lot of people know him, and he's at this hotel, and the accountability partner and security always goes up to the room first to check it, to make sure nobody got in there, everything's cool. And this one particular time, they get up there, and it's a woman in there, naked, in his room.
I remember this.
Yeah. And so could you imagine, right? Billy Graham, everybody know who Billy Graham is,
right?
Walks into this room, this woman's there. Now there's a lot of different things that can happen when you ain't got, just men, period, right? You see a woman, beautiful woman there, automatically it's temptation, right? So she come in, she lures you in, like, man, or it could be the setup. Look, taking pictures, people jump out, cameras flashing, whatever. Right. There's a lot of different things that can happen. So luckily, the security and his accountability got the woman out of there. He didn't even see the woman. He didn't even know who she was. He found out all the information from security and his accountability. But praise the Lord for accountability, right? And people that's here, we put in our lives to guard us and to protect us from certain situations. I think that's really important. And the way that God set that up in the body and in the church, and how we should guard each other and have each other's best interest at heart. And I know that looks different in the world and in the culture, because usually the people that are around you, even though they might be trying to guard you, but usually they're on the exact same thing that you're on, which is chasing, chicks, getting money. And so instead of like guarding you from being around a whole bunch of chicks, you lead them to a whole bunch of chicks. Like, hey, yo, got the room over here, there's a whole bunch of chicks in there, we got bottles or whatever. And then situations go left and then everybody's losing their mind now. So you see like the total opposite of, man, Billy Graham is a married pastor, preacher, this great influence for Christians. And he was guarded by his accountability partner, his security, from a situation, guarding his eyes from being able to see this woman, that could lead to, lust and all type of things. So, man, it's a lot of situations that he was guarded from just in that situation. And so praise God for accountability, right?
And that's how it should look, right? That's how it should look.
Yeah.
I think it's wise. I know we'll get into this later, but that's why it's so important, man. Fatherhood and being able to discipline, teach our kids right from wrong, and then situational, actions and reactions that come from that. How to make those decisions. So, but yeah, that's a good example. Really good example. And I think he took that. Like that was a perfect scenario, especially for like a pastor that's, he's a celebrity pastor, and a well-known and respected one. So, but yeah, that's an awesome example of that. Accountability is super critical, man.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. So you wanna lead us into the topic and the discussion of why we're here, the main event. You wanna lead us into that, bro?
Sure. So guys, our topic today, the segment is called Marriage is Dope.
Marriage is dope. Marriage is dope. Marriage, it is dope. It is.
Marriage is dope, man. I know we talking from experience. Maybe it didn't always feel dope, but
yeah, definitely not.
Dope nevertheless, man. And it is something that I take to heart. I love everything about marriage and relationships. So, but nevertheless, let's jump into this. So, marriage is dope, guys. That is our topic for today. Marriage is dope. We chose this to kind of give, our personal testimonies and experience, why we think that, how our experiences kind of given us that conclusion of it, and how marriage should be honored and respected, and obviously put on and celebrated, because the world doesn't really do a good job of it, right? And if we're going to talk statistics, it's 50% of marriages are statistically going to fail, right, according to statistics, and are failing. So, but marriage is dope. I would talk from personal experience, man. I think the biggest thing for me, and why would I kind of come out and say marriage is dope? Because it gives you that person, man. It gives you that person. We're all looking for a relationship. I think that's the biggest, and one of the biggest things that we all look for naturally as humans. We're all looking for a relationship. I always kind of give out that advice to younger couples or even single individuals. Like, the two biggest decisions you're going to make in life is who you're going to serve and then who you're going to marry. And either way, they're both rooted in relationship.
That's good.
So, my personal testimony is my wife and I, we met in high school. We've been together 17 years, and hey, it ain't always felt dope. But man, the glory and the victory that we've gotten in growing together, just loving each other and carrying each other's burdens through every up and down that we faced, and growing and maturing together from very young to now we're in our early 30s. We still got so much more to go, and things to learn from each other and make adjustments.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, man, why is it dope for me? Um, why? Because I think it sets the foundation um, for a home. It sets the foundation for society and communities. It sets the foundation for governmental institutions, and it sets the foundation for our children and our future generations. Um, and that's why I consider marriage awesome. I consider it dope, beautiful. I mean, I can come out with a list, man. But I've been saying this for so long. And it's funny, I feel like literally God, man, He put me on this earth just to literally advocate for marriage. So, um, but yeah, just to kind of put it in a little bit, I did a few things just to kind of twist things up, right? Like I asked my wife, like, why is marriage dope? It's just randomly. I don't want to come at her like, hey, this is a topic we're talking about, so she can give me like some formal
Right.
response, just randomly, like, man, don't you love marriage? Like, why is marriage dope? And then she came out. She's like, what are you saying? Like, what are you talking about? Like, oh, girl. And I'm like, I just love marriage. Like, don't you love that, man? We've been able to kind of grow together. We got, we've been able to hold each other down and all these different things. And
Yeah.
and it's beautiful to see, where we've come and God, just kind of moving through our life, man, all through our struggles and our the ups and downs. And yeah, I'm like, so why would you consider marriage? Oh, like that's my question. And she's like, okay. Um, she gave me she gave me the best answer she can give me in the moment, right? This is kind of random. So she said, it gives a true forever friend that will stick it through, no matter what, a life companion to share life with, someone to keep you company. Those were her three answers. So it gives us a little bit more perspective. When she gave me those, I said, okay. She's not so much of a talker as I am, so I didn't expect like this elaborate breakdown of what she meant by that. And if I did, she'll probably just be like, okay, we ain't doing this.
Yeah.
But but it was nice to hear her start off to say a true forever friend, because you know what, we started off, we didn't really have. And I know a lot of marriages and couples can attest. You don't really start off as friends. We don't all have the benefit of having the friendship that Darry and Tawata started with.
Watch on that.
Come on, because you guys really started. Your foundation was a true friendship. I think um, coming into it, it was more of a man. Let's get to know each other, and then obviously it quickly just escalates into your flash, and you just start, hey, let's go out for dinner and all this other stuff, and it just
Yeah,
becomes
I gotta. I'm gonna give the breakdown of the background of how me and my wife met.
yeah. Um, but it was nice to hear that. It was really nice for her to start off that way, because it really does. It gives a perspective of how where our marriages come to, and for her to literally confess that she has a true forever friend, and that's what marriage uh, produces for us, right? It gives us, when done right, obviously. Um, we can rely on a friend that'll, obviously, like a Proverbs 17, right? That is built for adversity and will love at all times. And I really build my friendships on that. We build our friendship on that, so I know that it kind of spills over into our marriages. And I think, just to kind of elaborate on that one, a life companion kind of goes into that. And it was kind of awesome. I asked my kids too. I don't know if you did that, but I asked my kids just randomly.
Nah, I didn't ask. I didn't ask
at
the
the
kids.
dinner table, because I do a little something with my kids. I am instilling the importance of honoring marriage at a very early age. For the obvious reason, right? Me and you, we didn't grow up with our fathers. We don't know what it is, at least from my personal experience. I don't know what it is to sit down with my mother, my father at a dinner table, and wake up to them to have breakfast, or have my mom and dad around 24/7, where I can have that stability for myself as a kid. I didn't have that. So
Yeah.
I really try to instill that into my kids, so that way they understand that marriage is a very high priority, and not only for obviously here on earth and for ourselves, right? For our betterment, right? To create family and to have a stable home or whatever the case may be, but also because God created it. It was God's design, His purpose, and He believes it is very important and it's a very high priority for Him as well.
Yeah.
So they said, Eli, the little one, my little boy, he said, they all, and again, I don't know if it's because they take after their mom, they didn't elaborate on their answers. And I was looking for more. I'm like, man, that's it. Like, we talk about marriage all the time. They didn't they didn't elaborate at all. It was just like random short answers. But Eli says, so I said, why is marriage awesome? To Eli, and he goes, because it makes family. Okay, all right, bud. And then Elise is my talker. So she gave the longest answer she can give. She gave the longest answer she can give, but it was kind of brief as well. She says it shows love, that love is important. It shows that marriage is where love comes from. And she says, and it's nice to have somebody by your side that's from God. And that was powerful. Because, I mean, we're going to have the biblical perspective. God has His hand on our life. And God has a specific person for us. And we can kind of put our mind and our heart and belief in that the moment we say I do, or even prior to that, obviously, when we choose to make this commitment to somebody, you have to truly believe that God brought this person in your life for a reason. God is not a God of coincidence. You know, God just, He ain't up there like, oh, dang, but how'd that happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows the beginning to the end. Like,
yeah, it's not random with God, man. It's not
random. Yeah, man. And then last but not least, my oldest, I went from youngest to oldest. Belek says, it gives you somebody to encourage and build you up.
Ooh, I'm going to get into that one. That's a good one.
This is from the kids, from their mouth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I'm a little bit more of a deep thinker, so I'm like, elaborate, because you're the oldest. It's just like, no, I don't want to. But it made me feel good, because I was like, man, if that's what her perspective is on why marriage is awesome, then somebody here in the house has to be doing something good. And it's not to boast of myself, but man, I put my effort, and I see my wife putting her effort. Sometimes it's not perfect, but for my oldest to say that it gives you somebody to encourage and build you up, it means a lot. It means a lot, because that's something we have to continue to do for each other, right? As spouses, as husband and wives. And if we're going to consider ourselves friends, right? A friend is built for adversity, and it should be and loving at all times, and we carry each other's, worries and sadnesses, and even in the good times and the bad times. So we have to lift each other, we have to build each other and encourage each other. So that was a little side note, man, just to kind of throw it in there. I wanted to see what the kids' perspective is.
Dude, that was really good, dude. That was really good. I really appreciate you asking the kids. I didn't ask my kids. I didn't even think to ask them. I asked a couple couples, and most of them gave me like the same answer. And the probably the number one out of all of them was that, you got somebody that you can lean on, somebody that's going to build you up, somebody that's going to be there through the tough times, through the hard times. So that was pretty much the answer that I got from the people that I've asked. So I won't put their names out there. I didn't even ask them if I can put their names out there, but they know who they are, people that I asked. So did you have anything else before I dive into this? We're gonna hit our points, like we're gonna go through them.
Yeah, I mean, I did have another couple that I asked.
Go ahead.
might as well throw them in there, right? And they knew where I was doing this, so it's our dear friends, right? Our dear friends Jenny and George from one of our older churches.
Okay.
We still keep in touch, and they're an awesome couple, man. They're an awesome couple. Um, but they gave us a brief answer, and they were able to share, and we really appreciate them for just kind of contributing to our podcast, right, and to this segment.
Yeah, for sure.
It says that
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Jenny and George Garcia. We love you guys. It says that what did she say? Hold on. She said, I would have to say getting to know each other as individuals, the differences, being able to balance each other out, bringing the best out of one another, spiritually speaking, getting to know and give the unconditional love that Christ gives us. And that's what she felt, why marriage was awesome. Because she got a little deeper, but she was just saying, getting to know each other's differences and being able to know each other on an individual level, but also balance each other out and bringing the best out of each other, and then covering each other spiritually.
I like that. I like that balancing each other out. I like that.
Yeah. So that was awesome, man, for them to share, and they're a great example, man. They're always kind of encouraging and really celebrating each other on social media. But I know they live it out as well, because I know they're in their word on a daily basis. And man, they've been dear friends of ours for a while, for a long time. And yeah, it was awesome for them to kind of chime in on this, man, because I love them. I love them. But yeah, man, I would say go ahead and jump in. I know you have some.
Yeah, so I had 4. Like when I was just thinking about the reasons why marriage is dope, I came up with like four reasons. Well, it was more like a list of like 7, but I picked the 4 that I felt was like the most important. Right. But before I get into that, I give everybody a little background about my marriage and me and my wife's relationship. We met in high school as well, sophomore year. We started off getting to know each other in summer school. Now, I didn't like my wife in the beginning. Like, I wasn't like, because I didn't know her. She was dating one of the football players, and I couldn't stand dude. You already know this story. Yeah. I wanted to fight him, and I didn't like him at all, because he had this like just real arrogance about him that if you would have met him, you probably felt the same way. And so the way that little
side note, Darry was a fighter. Before he met Jesus, he was a little rough riding Tasmanian devil, wanted to fight everybody. Super bad. So that's a little side note. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I didn't like him. I tried to do everything in my power to fight him, but he didn't want to. But anyway, he was dating my now wife at the time in high school. That was freshman year. Yeah. So freshman year we had summer school together, and we sat right next to each other. And then she began to tell me all these things about her family, her dad, and that was kind of really where the friendship kind of kicked off. I wasn't even there for that. Like, I liked it the other girl that sat in the back, and I was trying to sit next to her, but the teacher literally sat me right next to my wife, to Tawatha, and then so I had to listen to her talk and get to know her. So summer school's over, fast forward, school starts. She gives me this big old hug, and then like things went from there. I walked her home, got to get to know her, things like that. But I was very kind of like real disrespectful in the teenage sense. When she was with her boyfriend, like I said, I would run through the hallways, smack her on the booty, run off, do things, say stuff. It was bad. But yeah, fast forward, sophomore year, we became official. But yeah, everything was very, very slow in the beginning. And just nothing happened fast. Like, it was literally a friendship, just getting to know each other, talking on the phone, all night, picking her up from school, going to school, stuff like that. So we built up a friendship and a foundation before there was anything even physical. with her. And so that friendship and that genuine respect that we had is literally what's been the foundation of our marriage, and how our marriage has been able to stay together is because there was a genuine friendship that we had before the relationship turned into intimate and marriage and all those things. There was always a foundation, so there was a genuine love and respect that we have for each other. And so fast forwarding to now to being married, we going on 10 years. In May it'll be 10 years. We've been together 19 years.
Yeah.
Or 18 years, because me and you've been friends a year longer than me and her have been together.
Yeah, okay. So
it's been a long journey, but we definitely balance each other out because we're total opposites.
Yeah.
I like sports, she doesn't like sports. I like video games, she don't like video games, she hates them, right? I'm the social butterfly, she's not, so. And it's so funny because everybody loves her. She got 70,000 followers on Instagram, doing nothing. And everybody knows her. I can't do anything. Listen, if I wanted to cheat, I couldn't. Because somebody goes snitch. I literally be places by myself. I'm walking around, and then people be like, "Ain't you?" I don't have a name, by the way. Everybody's like, "Ain't you Tawata's husband?" I'm like, "Yeah, my name's Darry, by the way."
Everywhere, dude.
Everywhere, dude. At least like once a week, once every couple of weeks, somebody's gonna see me. I'll share you guys this one quick little story. I think it's still hilarious to this day. I used to do Lyft. I used to do rideshare Lyft service, right? And I was getting gas. I was going into the gas station. Somebody that she knows, that knows both of us, but they took a picture of me walking into the gas station, sent it to my wife, and was like, "Is he supposed to be here?"
Yeah.
So my wife sends me the text. My wife forwards me the picture, and I'm like, "What the heck?" The gas station was right around the corner from our house, so I was literally getting ready to go home, and I'm like, she's like, "I got eyes everywhere," and I was just like, "I guess you do." But that's just little history of our relationship, man. But foundation, friendship is the key. And I think we've gotten away from that foundation. Like dating and courting, it almost doesn't exist anymore. Like nobody wants to go on dates, and even in like Christian circles, there's no accountability, so people just fall into lust and then eventually, fall into sin. Or you got those real pushy churches that's like, "You like each other? All right, get married." And it's like, wait, let them get to know each other first. Let it happen organically. Y'all just like, y'all like each other? Okay, don't burn with the passion, get married. And they're just forcing people into marriage, and there's no premarital counseling or nothing. It's just like, get married, and all type of situations happen, and they don't ever get a chance to talk about anything. And so the very first thing that I got when I was reading up on this topic is marriage gives us a helper. Right, which a lot of couples, they say like, oh, it gives a friend, gives somebody that they can do life with. And so I called it a helper. I was just talking from a male's perspective. So some of my lingo and the way I word things, it's from a man's perspective, and how God puts it in the Bible. And so it's from the beginning of humanity, like God saw that it was not good for man to stay single. He gave him the job to do. He did all of the job, and he was still doing the job. And then all of that, everything that God had created, it was good, right? And then he said it's not good for man to be alone. This is the first time in the Bible that God said something wasn't good.
Yeah. And you're pulling from Genesis 18, right?
2:18.
Sorry.
2:18.
Pulling from Genesis 2:18.
2:18, for those of you who don't know what the verse says, it says, "Then the Lord said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper corresponding to him."
Yeah.
It's the first time in the Bible that God is like, this is not good for a man to be alone, right? Yeah. Adam was alone in this perfect garden, doing the will of God, walking with the Father every day in this amazing God and doing his work. No worries of sin, no fear, no thoughts of how is God going to provide, nothing. Everything was perfect. He didn't care about money. He didn't need money. He literally had everything that he needed right then and there. So Adam he was going to be alone with God forever. Right. And then that sounds like, and that's cool. Like Adam is with God and he has this relationship with God. It's perfect. He don't need nothing. He's good. Right. He's talking to animals, naming them, riding on lions and all this crazy stuff. He's good. He's in the garden. Right. And then God said that it's not good for him to be alone.
Right.
And so according to God, this union between man and woman, it was a gift. And only after he created Eve did God say that this is very good. He didn't just say it was good. He said it's very good after he created Eve. And so God is our ultimate source for help. And yet he is the one who claimed that men needed a helper. We needed somebody that we can do life with. Right. And so that's my first point. Is God gives us a helper.
I want to add to that because it goes a little deeper than that, right? And if I can kind of be a little bit more personable on this.
Go ahead, do your thing.
One is not good for man to be alone, and I will make him a helper who is just right for him. Right, that's the NLT version. It is just right for him. So obviously, as men, right, I know that we all been there, right? Are we alone? And it's like we burn with that lust, man. We gotta. It's just a natural,
we naturally, I think, men or women, we naturally crave companionship, right? And then you got the hormones and all that stuff that kick in. So we desire that and we crave that.
Yeah, and I would say to that, marriage is awesome because it's considerate, right? It's considerate, and God knew that it was His design and purpose to be considerate for us, right? It shows His nature. He was considerate, and He knows exactly what we need, right? It says that I will make him a helper who is just right for him. And I started thinking about myself, right? My personal testimony, my wife, right? And it's not until later, in our later, I talk like, in our later years, like we older say, back then,
back in my day.
Yeah, nah. But we've been together, it seemed like forever. But I didn't start realizing that my wife was just right for me till later in our marriage. Literally after like year 11, I'm not even gonna lie. After year 11 of our relationship is when we started really establishing a true friendship. Because a lot of the things that we went through a lot of ups and downs, a lot of trial and error. And sometimes you cohabitate with this person so long, you got kids, that you just really basing it off commitment and the family status and trying to really push through and create an atmosphere for your kids and for each other. But to that, I started thinking about like how my wife really balances me out. And I give an example. Naturally, me myself, I dealt with and to a certain extent, I think I'm not perfect, but I dealt with a little bit of hesitancy to maybe jump on certain tasks or maybe doing things a little slower and having that hesitancy. Some might call it procrastination. Right, I've been called that quite a few times in the past, but I think I've gotten a lot better. Praise God. But you know what? I started realizing that my wife doesn't struggle with that. She is she's a person that puts her hand to the plow. She's a go-getter. Like, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this right now. She's more of a action. Like action Jackson. That's her. And I'm more like, I gotta be methodical. Like, how we gonna do this? When we gonna do this? Like, Gotta be all in order.
You cross every T, dot every I.
Yeah. And I didn't start realizing that. And literally these last few years, I've really been voicing that. And I try to voice it as much as I can. And even the other day I did. We were just literally, I really try to be intentional with my words. And we were in the kitchen. I'm just like, I couldn't have asked for another, for a better person to be alongside me. You literally balanced me out, and I shared that with my wife. And before you kind of like hesitant, should I share this? Like, like, or for whatever reason, you might have reservations like in the past, or we weren't mature. We go through some things, you don't want to say stuff. But when you're at a good state where God has given you victory and you've kind of matured, I have no issue voicing that self and kind of encouraging and building her up. But to that, I wanted to share that example because she even does like hardcore stuff. And I think of God knew that he had a boy that really didn't have his father around, didn't have the example of what it looks like. Hey, go take care of this, go take care of this task, do it now, do it this way. I didn't have that direction. And then I started thinking about my wife being the opposite. Like she had a dad that was an Action Jackson, like literally, just like a dude that just a MacGyver. You know what I'm saying? Like he just go out like even now, like he building like sheds on his own. Like, oh, you need a shed? I'll build you a shed. Even if he just MacGyvers it, it's like it'll cover all your little your lawnmowers and everything. Like, but I want a real shed. Oh, I mean, I can't do that, but I'm gonna build you something close to it. I'm like, all right then, man. Like,
yeah, her dad's awesome.
But she's had that example, and that's what kind of made her. But then I start forward thinking, like, man, God knew, man. God knew that he had a boy that was gonna struggle with that. He had a man that was and needed that example, even from his own wife, right? And praise God now. We got our own house, and I'm able to like take care of things around the house because it just comes with experience. But it wasn't always like that, and that's an awesome testimony. And to that's an awesome point of why that marriage is awesome. How he built it is awesome. You want to kind of get deep, right? The intricate things, right? God knows when he thinks of us, man. He thinks of every little detail of who we are and how he can make us better and find us that person that's going to balance.
Most of the marriages, like if we really think about all our friends and the people that we know that are married, they're all total opposites.
Yeah, it is.
They're all total. Nobody is like, yo, I like sports, my wife likes sports. I like games, my wife likes games. I like this type of movie, my wife like that type of movie as well. It's always opposite, bro, and it's always opposite. And I think like God has it that way, like you said earlier, to balance us out.
That's true.
Right? To balance us out and to actually, it helps us serve one another. Right? It helps us meet the needs of each other, because when my wife wants to sit in the house and I'm the social butterfly and I want to go out, it's me that can encourage her, because she needs to get out, right? She needs to get some fresh air and be around some adults and have some adult conversations, and I can pull her along. But if we both are just like in the crib, we ain't never going nowhere.
Yeah.
We both just be like, you don't want to go out? I don't want to go out either. All right, let's just sit here. You know what I'm saying? There's never any fellowship. There's never doing anything. And so just, lean on each other in that sense. There will never be any challenging of any correcting, any growing in any area. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, man, that's so amazing. To end off my first part, I had this verse, and it came out of Ecclesiastics, and it says, 2 are better than 1, because they have a good return for their efforts. For if either falls, his companion can lift him up. But pity the one who falls without another to lift him up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they can keep each other warm. But how can one person one person alone keep warm? And if someone overpowers one person, 2 can resist him. A cord of 3 stand is not easily broken. That's Ecclesiastics 4 chapter 4, verses 9 through 12.
Yeah. It's a cord of three strands, right? It says
Yeah,
that.
a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken.
Yeah. And that's powerful, man. You even start thinking about how marriage is supposed to be Christ-centered, right? And we have the Holy Spirit at the center of a marriage, and how that resembles God's nature, right? Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
How there's a perfect three-strand cord within His own nature, and how that looks in our marriages. So it's powerful, really, to kind of look into it deeply like that.
Yeah. I mean, if we think about it like this, right? Us in the stages of life, if we were single, dude, we have to figure out how to do everything by ourselves.
Exactly.
Like, if you don't cook, then you have to figure out how to cook. But if you're married and you got a spouse that knows how to cook and they enjoy cooking, then, man, right. I ain't got to cook. Right. You know, I can help out in the kitchen, but I don't know how to cook. So, man, I got a spouse. It could be for us men, most of the women do a lot of the cooking. I do know some men that cook. You be cooking. But for the most part, a lot of the women do a lot of the cooking, right? And so if we were single, it'd be a lot of fast foods, a lot of pizzas being ordered. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be a lot of big guts walking around here. Like we wouldn't know how to do any of that stuff. But like, you know, how to pay bills, right? I ain't got to pay all the bills now. I got a spouse that, you know, we need to, if she needs to go to work, she doesn't mind going to work. She can step up and help out financially. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have this helpmate, right? Taking care of the crib, giving each other different perspective, right? Because as men, we could sometimes just come off real harsh sometimes, and the women are there to be like, we should say it a little bit softer. You know, we should go at this thing with a better tone, even with how we deal with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we're like we're too hard, and you know, they need that motherly touch, you know, that nurture, and it brings balance, man. It brings balance, right? Making tough situations and difficult situations, having that person to go through it with you, right? A death, a loss of a friend, a loved one, whatever tough situation, you lose your job, whatever. Having that person there with you to be able to encourage you, to be able to give you a hug and let you cry if you need to cry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just all these things about marriage that God put together. It all makes it work. It all makes it work. And so
all makes it work, and it all makes it awesome.
Yeah.
At the end, we end up so it's one of the things that we seek, right? It's happiness. But what is finding happiness, right? It's through that companionship. It's through having that one person that you can rely on, somebody you're looking for. And we all have. There's always a time for we all get down. There's a time for mourning. There's a time for dealing with certain circumstances and situations. But how much more better can we do that when we're balanced and we have someone alongside us to help us make those decisions and you know, live life and do it together.
Yeah.
So that's a powerful thing, man. It makes marriage awesome. There's so many facets to what makes marriage awesome that I don't even think we can do it on this segment. But
there's probably, I don't know how many, I forget how many points you said you had, but I have 4. Yeah. And so it might take us, we might have to do a part 2, but I do want to dive into this next one because I think this next one is pretty critical, and I think it keeps us humble, and it keeps us in tune with just growing spiritually, mentally, physically. But marriage sharpens us. Marriage sharpens us, right? And so this is the little example I'll put here. I'm just going to read it. It says, have you ever seen a blacksmith sharpen a sword, right? When it is dull, he holds it up to another piece of metal, presses them together, sparks start flying, right? The sparks fly, the metal grinds against metal, and rough edges chip off, right? Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, another person sharpens another, right? Some translations say, you know, a friend, you know, sharpens his friend or whatever. But I mean, our spouses are our friends. They're going to sharpen us up. Yeah. So this verse is applied to marriage very, very easily. So it is a painful process. Like when you think about metal sharpening, right? I don't know if y'all ever sharpen knives, but we can buy the knives and it comes with the thing. You sharpen it up, you hear it, and if you pay close attention, you probably can even see some of the little pieces of metal fall on your counter. It'll probably be real light, but you can still find it. And so it's a painful process going through that sharpening. It's very painful because we come with baggage, we come with hurt, especially when you know, as you grow and you go through things, different seasons of your life, your perspective starts to change on things, right? You have people who go through things and then they fall into a depression or anxiety kicks in and just heartache, and one minute they have a fire and a passion to do something, next minute they don't, and then you're looking at them like, well, what's going on? How do I bring them out of this? Like, how do I come alongside of them? And then when you start acting, you know, crazy, or you going through something and they're trying to get you to get out of that or to break bad habits and do things better, whether it's going through you know, how to get better with your finances, or how to have better time management, or, you know, how to do something, right? It's always challenging. And it's it's so hard. It's hard work because sometimes we just say things wrong. We got to figure out sometimes, how do we even say this to our spouse when they going through something. So for us, it's like, man, how do I say this to my wife in a way that's encouraging and not gonna get me slapped? So it sharpens us, man, and it keeps us humble, because it also makes us, we got to look at the plank that's in our eye before we just be coming at them, and vice versa. And so, man, marriage sharpens us, man, and that sharpening, it hurts sometimes. Arguments and fights, hopefully not fist fights, but it's a lot of back and forth, pushback. Sharpening hurts. It hurts. I want to hear your perspective on this.
I mean, it'll kind of piggyback what I just mentioned, how it balances us out, right? That example I gave of things I dealt with personally as a man and growing up, and how wife, you know, God knew my wife would balance me out the things that I needed, right? And in certain little areas, like what I mentioned, the example of her being and having that example of her father, you know, getting out there and working and having that example of how to take care of things and fix things, and she's not shy with that, and how that you know has encouraged and has sharpened me throughout the years, right? And you know what? I also think in respect, it's another reason why marriage is awesome, because I'm gonna have a two-part. I'm gonna try to be as very little negative as I can, right? Because we're focusing on the awesomeness of marriage. But sometimes we can come into marriage, man, with like some pride, right? Like we can come in like, I'm coming into this thing, I got my ways, right? And I don't know what you're talking about, but we're gonna do it this way. But that power struggle, honestly, it's a learning experience, right? And I know you can attest to that. Like we can attest to that, man. We've known our wives a long time, and we've known each other from our, and we're gonna be honest, right? Our immature days, right? Growing, high school days. I mean, we were immature, you know, as much as we thought we had it all together, right?
Yeah.
There was a time, and it brings me to that scripture in Proverbs 12 where it says that anyone who hates to be corrected is stupid, right? Anyone who loves
the Bible's so gangster for that verse, bro. I literally was going over that verse like 3 weeks ago, man, and I showed it to this person at church, and they was like, "Wait, what?" They was like, "It says that." I was like, "Look, let's read it." And it says stupid, and their face was like, "What?"
Exactly.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, it's cool. I actually did. I showed this to the kids, and they're like, "Oh, the Bible curses." I'm like, I had to switch it up to another version. Like, you know what? It does say that. I ain't gonna lie. It does say
Yeah.
that. But to respect, so that we don't say the word stupid in our house, as the Bible says it's dumb. It's dumb for you to hate, to be corrected, right? But it says anyone who loves correction loves knowledge, right? Loves to grow and loves to learn. So that's the way I pose it to our kids. But in respect to this, right? It's probably one of the hardest things. I know we could do a whole segment on this because this is um, this is another how can I say this? A sub segment or a segment within itself, a topic that a lot of marriage struggle, and I would admit, even myself, right? It's a struggle to put down your pride and say, "Man, you're right. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You're right on this one, man." Like, but how many of us really take that time to be like, "You're actually right." I'm like that. I have to be honest. I'm like that. Sometimes I get it the second time, and it's like, "Man, love, you are right. You're right. I know I'm right." Like, all right, girl, you ain't gotta say it though.
Yeah.
You gotta say it.
Yeah.
Um,
Our spouses, they're gonna show us, man, like who we really are, like in our marriage. You can't put the face on it at home. You can put it on at work. You can put it on at when you go out around people, whatever. Even at church, you can put on this face. But when you get home, your wife knows who you are.
That's
You know,
true.
they see us in our most vulnerable. They see us when we make mistakes. They see us when we're angry, when we're sad. They know, right? And so when we acting crazy and we tripping, they trying to put us in our place and correct us, and they have a right to do that. This is the person that we're doing life with, and so it goes back to that sharpening. Like, it hurts sometimes hearing somebody tell you, "Hey, man, like, you're wrong. You could do that better.
Yeah.
Let's do it better." And you be like, "Man, get out of here."
You're so right on that though, man. Because literally our wives are gonna be we're a reflection of one another. We can just think about it as a mirror, right? Why wouldn't you want a mirror of yourself for
Justin
someone
Timberlake
to
song just came right into my head right now.
which one?
Mirrors, Justin
Uh
Timberlake.
if you can just be thankful why marriage is so awesome, right? Our spouse is gonna be our mirror of us, right? And obviously God is gonna show us and convict us of what we're dealing with, right? What we're doing wrong. But usually our spouse is gonna know, like, where you coming from? Like, why are you acting like that? Like, why are you doing that? Like, why did you say that to me? Like, why you have this attitude? Why you do this, right? They're gonna be a direct mirror of us, but it's all for the better good, right? To be the best version of us. And that's why marriage is so awesome, man, because our spouses can be a direct mirror in front of us, but also we may see a version of ourselves today, and then our spouse can be used by God to balance us out, to correct us, show us love, right? And we can learn of ourselves through our spouse, and vice versa, right? Our wives can learn about themselves through us, right? Sometimes they don't like that, but through us, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes marriage so awesome. Like, it creates the best version of you.
Mm-hmm.
The longer it prolongs, and the days we invest in each other, and we kind of go through it as we go in life. It just creates the best version of us, man, and it sharpens us.
Yeah, definitely, man. All right, so this next point that I put down is marriage answers our sexual desires.
Uh-oh.
It's about to get X-rated around this piece. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I think before we talk about things that I put here, I grew up in a household where, like, sex was this, like, nasty thing. Like, it wasn't a gift from God. It was like, you don't talk about sex. You don't even say the word sex. And I think that our culture has adopted that. And sex is like, it's perverted. I'll just put it like that. Like, it's a perversion of how God intended for it to be. And I think that mindset and that thought is destroying marriages in the area of sex, because people grow up with a different view, right? False expectations, misunderstandings of sex and what it is and what it means, and that it's a gift from God. And some people look at it as this thing that we never want to talk about, even with our spouses. And we never want to share our desires, and we never want to share how we feel about sex and certain things. And it's been this gift, this amazing gift, has been stripped, from us, and it's been perverted, right? And I think that we need to take that back as Christians, right? As the people who God gave this to, we need to do it, and we need to do it in the right way. We need to enjoy it. We need to talk about it in the right way, right? In the right circles. And we don't need to be ashamed of sex. If you're married, let me just say that. If you ain't married, this don't apply to you. We're talking about married folk on here. Married folk.
Fast forward.
You know what I'm saying? And so, man, the world's culture, right, paints a perverted view of sexuality. And many churches haven't responded to it well. Yeah. And instead of showing God's heart for sex, we've shamed it and acts as though it is from the devil. That is how a lot of people, Christians included, view sex. It's from the devil. It's nasty. Sex, man, no. Yeah. Right? Until they're in heat, and then then it's okay. Yeah. But the ultimate view, of sex is it's bad. And some of the people in the church, in the bad view is they over spiritualize it. And then the world,
to a fault,
they don't spiritualize it at all. Right. It's just it is what it is. Sex is for everybody, with everybody, and it's this crazy thing that's just gotten way out of control, right? And the truth is that God created sex and claimed it to be good and to be highly honored. I'm gonna say that again. God created sex, and he made it, and we should highly honor it. It should be highly honored. Sex should be highly honored, right? The Apostle Paul even declares that marriage is the answer to sexual immorality, and urges married couples to have sex to escape sexual temptations from Satan. And that's 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 2 through 5. So have sex. Married folks, have it. Talk to your spouses about it. What you like, what you don't like.
Yeah.
Talk about it. The marital bedroom is undefiled.
Yeah.
Whatever you and your spouse do as married couples in y'all bedroom is glory to God.
Yeah.
Do it, like it,
give it context.
Love it.
You mind if I give it context just to kind of read it so that those who are listening and hearing.
Oh yeah, you want to read the verse? Go ahead.
Yeah. So 1 Corinthians chapter 7, right? Verse 2, it says that the wife's body does not belong. The wife's body does not belong to her alone, but also to her husband. In the same way, the husband's body does not belong to him alone, but also to his wife. It says, do not deprive each other except by mutual consent and for a time, so that you may devote yourselves to prayer. I know a lot of marriages don't, maybe some wives wouldn't agree with that last part, right? Don't deprive each other. Don't hold
I know a lot of men that be like, even during praying and fasting, we getting it popping.
Yeah. But yeah, man, just to speak to that, marriage is awesome. And one other reason why it's awesome is because God gave us intimacy. He gave us sex, to be joined together, to come together as one. And it's a celebration. It's a time to worship God through our bodies with each other, right? And kind of just honoring and celebrating our love and what God has given us. So, and to what you were saying, right? A lot of times what happens is the world suppresses these things right? Or us as Christians have suppressed these things in the past. So therefore, it creates almost as if like we just give laws out, like just wait till you're married, period. Don't ask me nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? That only happens when you get married. But us as Christians, right? We're supposed to be a practical living example of these things, and teaching our children, teaching our generations how it's supposed to look. You have that right when you get married with your wife and your husband, and when you do so, you have the freedom to do it. And what happens is that we suppressed it in the past religiously, and what happens is that we forget that our nature is sinful. We become so curious that the world ends up teaching our children, ends up teaching us how to do these things instead of setting that example and suppressing it. So that's the beauty, man, of marriage. I know this topic can have again another segment within itself. Marriage is a beautiful thing. Sex and intimacy is a beautiful thing. And God did call us to procreate, right? And that was God's design and purpose for it, right? So we can share that intimacy. And to kind of go a step further, intimacy is an extension of communication. So if you're not doing well communicating with your spouse, or you don't have that friendship where you're able to communicate and really click on a lot of different things and have understanding together, you're going to struggle with intimacy. And that's built on trust and friendship and holding each other accountable and loving and being humble for one another. So, that's a powerful point, man.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. And on a side note, I want to just challenge all the fathers out there too, whether you have a son or a daughter, as they come into their teenage years, start to talk to your kids about sex, like in a real way. Not give them like this little watered down, because like real kiddie version of sex, but talk to them about sin, right? And why we fall into sin. It's because it fit, and most of it is like sexual sin, right? Especially as a teenager, because their hormones are about to hit them like a ton of bricks. And a lot of times, especially Christian kids fall into sex is because the parents don't talk about it. They don't talk about it in a real way. They'll say, hey, wait till you get married to have sex. But what does that look like? And how do I deal with these desires that I have now?
Right.
These attractions that I have now, how do I manage them? So we need to talk to our kids about sin and the fact that sin feels good. That's why we keep doing it. That's how the devil tempts us. He doesn't tempt us with things that we don't like. He tempts us with things that we do like, right? And a lot of times as teenagers, a lot of it is sex and it's drugs, right? So have the drug talk, stay away from drugs and all that stuff, but definitely have the sex talk. Not every kid gets into drugs, right? But everybody is going to have sexual temptation. Right. So we got to talk to our kids about how to manage that. As I have 2 boys, I have to talk to them about self-control, about no means no, about when is it appropriate to touch a girl. I got to talk to them about this stuff now, not when they're 21. The monster's already built at that age. You need to talk to them now as young men, at 7 years old. He's about to be 8 years old. Talk to him, man, when you're in school. Listen, man, you can't just be touching girls. You can't hit girls. You can't touch girls in a certain way. We have to talk to them. I like them. And this is how things get perverted and things get twisted and when they're not guided properly. So I just wanted to say that, and I really want to challenge the fathers to really take that, grab the bull by the horns, man, and really put it in its place when we're talking about sexual temptations and sexual sins with our kids, because it's gonna come. They either gonna learn it from you in the Bible, or they're gonna learn it on the streets and from TikTok and from YouTube, right? They're gonna learn it from their friend that friend that brings them that Playboy mag. Do they even still make Playboy magazines?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
I ain't seen a Playboy magazine since I was like 14, but that magazine or whatever it is that they expose them to. I mean, cell phones is literally right there, palm of their hand.
Yeah.
Click, 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 boom, right there. I was the kids who was on YouTube, and then an advertisement pop up, and I was like, whoa. So it's there. It's wide open.
Yeah.
And so we got to guard them. We got to talk about them because it's running rampant. So that was just my little side note that I want to throw in there to just challenge the fathers, man, to really we got to talk to our kids, man, even younger now about sex, because it's like I said, it's there, man. It's there. My sister had her first baby. She was 13. She got pregnant when she was 12. This was back in the 90s.
Wow.
So could you only imagine in 2022, it's a lot of kids out here having sex at an earlier age. I had my first sexual encounter, I was 11. So not saying that to boast or anything like that. It's sad. I think about that now as a father of 5 kids, and I'll be ready to choke some.
Yeah.
I'll be ready to choke some. I'm playing games over here. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, what the heck was I exposed to that I was allowed to have my first counter at 11? You know what I'm saying? And so, man, we just gotta do better in this area. And so the challenge is for all the men, Christian men, to we have to rise up as fathers in this area, man, and really train our kids up, man, in the way that they should go, and have real conversations with them about sex, because if they don't learn it from you, they're gonna learn it at school, one of the friends, and then it's perverted, and then they don't know what to do. They're misguided on it. So and that stuff affects them later on in life when they get married, and you know, they're trying to be intimate with their partner, and they have these feelings and different things and unhealthy views on sex. So we gotta nip that stuff in the bud, man. We gotta do better.
Yeah, and it makes marriage awesome, man. We have fathers stepping up and doing exactly what we need to do, teaching our kids and being an example. And on a side note, that's also attractive to your wife. You know what I'm saying? So that makes marriage awesome too. Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah. It was a singer not too long ago. Somebody that I listened to on the YouTube channel, they put out a video of this girl, and she talked about how porn had like warped her understanding and really made sex terrible for her, because
that was Billie Eilish.
Yeah. She was, you know, it made, because you see sex being done on the screen, you think, okay, that's how you're supposed to do it, you know, but nah, man, that's acting and that's fake.
Yeah.
But you know what's real is, hey, talking to your spouse and saying, hey, babe, how do you like it? What you want?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna do that then. I ain't finna be. You try to force, you know, I'm gonna force pleasure you. Like, I'm gonna give it to you how I think you want it, instead of just asking. That's the amazing part about marriage, is that I can ask the question to my spouse without feeling ashamed. Like, how do you want it? Because every woman is different. I'm gonna tell you right now, young couples, young guys who are married, listen, if you did fall into that thing of porn, every woman is different. Every woman does not please the same. So just because you see these dudes who's watching porn and you think that's how you finna go in, I'm gonna tell you right now, stop. Every woman is different. So that's the amazing part about marriage, is that I can know what to do and how to do it with my wife to get the job done. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the importance too. That's the importance of pre-marriage counseling.
Pre-marriage counseling, they should be
getting all that stuff out the way.
Going over there.
Struggles, right? You're going through baggage. You got a lot of things that you're coming into a relationship with.
Yeah. Some women deal with. They've been raped before. They've been sexually assaulted. You know what I'm saying? So what is their view on sex? You know, they might, you know, be real like timid and have some things that they got to work through. And you got to be patient as a husband to say, I got to take my time with my wife that went through this traumatic experience in her life, and she's not on it like that. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to definitely be sensitive and open-minded to grow and to learn. We have to be willing to do those things for our spouses to make them comfortable, and that opens up the floodgates when that happens. We'll talk about the floodgates in another podcast.
And the joy it brings.
I knew you was gonna catch it. Yeah. So yeah, man. Marriage answers our sexual desires. That was my third point, and
which we kind of spoke of
Say it again.
which we touched on.
Yeah, yeah. And so my final point, right? Final for me, but definitely not the last one. Um, but marriage preaches the gospel. And I saved this one um for the last because it not only affects us in our marriage, but it affects the marriages around us,
Yeah.
right? And so we can read in Isaiah 54, 5, chapter 54, verse 5. Um, we see that God calls himself the church, right? Husband.
Yeah.
He calls himself our, talking about the church, he calls himself our husband. And as we learn to love our spouses, it reminds us of how Jesus loves us. When we are selfless and serve our spouses, it points to how Jesus served us. And as we forgive our spouses, we remember he forgave us. And I think this is so powerful, and this is so key in everyday situations, in everyday life with your spouse.
Yeah.
There's going to be times where you need to be forgiven. And so right now, I am in the season of my life and in my marriage where I'm learning how to say those words again. When I need forgiveness, hey, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? Gotta learn how to do that again, right? And literally saying the words and then hearing the response back. Um, but it just goes to show, it always remind, like I said, that just as God has forgiven us, we need to forgive our spouses, right? And we need to love them and serve them the way that Christ loved and he served us.
Yeah.
What's your take on that, bro?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gives us an opportunity to see God's his nature. You know, the Bible says that he made us in his image, right? And he's a God that is abounding in love, that has forgiveness, right? That has grace, that has reconciled us, right, to himself, that has redeemed us. But in marriage, right, and what makes it awesome is that we have the opportunity to show God's love and nature through that, right? And also being perfected through it, right? Where God is kind of moving through us and sharpening us along the way. It gives us that opportunity. I know for us, right? Marriage is awesome, right? And on the contrary, it has its moments where it can be at the very worst. It can be like one of the worst things you can go through, right? When you're facing through marital relationship issues, they can be really on the other side, right? They can be really bad. But we have an opportunity, right, to preach the gospel through it. How do we do that? It's by extending and showing God's grace the way he's done for us, right? By forgiving our spouse the way that Christ has done for us. And loving them with an unconditional love, right? When God loved us as sinners, and we can show that exact love for our spouse when we maybe fall into those moments when maybe they're not that lovable in the moment, you know, or maybe we go through a certain situation or circumstance that is difficult. It's hard to forgive, or it's hard to show grace, or extend some love, or you know what I'm saying, or have an unconditional love moment. But we have to have that example, which was Christ for us, and we have to exemplify that as Christians, right? As godly men and women. Maybe not always perfect, but we persevere and endure in doing well. And sometimes that doing well costs us something. It costs us, you know, putting our pride down, putting our anger and our frustrations down, maybe some unforgiveness, right? When we start thinking about like us, well, we've dealt with everything across the spectrum from infidelity to, you know, lies and all these different things on both ends. We have to take accountability for that, and we have to extend the forgiveness. And when we do, we have to do it God's way, right? God says that he extends his forgiveness. He forgets as far as the east is to the west. So when we extend forgiveness, we don't do it on our own terms. We do it the way God did.
Yeah.
And that's the type of gospel we have, you know, that marriage gives us an opportunity to preach. It's directly to each other, right? Showing unconditional love and God's nature.
Yeah, yeah, that's good stuff right there. And Paul gives us instructions on being married. And in those instructions, it always points back to Christ. And I know you're gonna know where I'm about to go with this. And it's Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 to 28. You got that pulled up? You want to read it? If not, I can.
Yeah, you wanna go ahead and read it?
It says, now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives. I'll repeat that again. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her to make her holy. Ooh, that's some powerful stuff right there. Gave himself up for her to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In this way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. Husbands, you ought to love your wives as your own body. And he who loves his wife loves himself. That's Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22 through 20. Come on, somebody.
No.
One of the most significant benefits of marriage is that it makes us more like Christ.
Yeah.
And is there any other more benefit, any other greater benefit than that?
Yeah. That makes marriage so awesome, man. And one of the quality character traits that we can carry over is obviously there in Ephesians 5, it's rooted in selflessness, right? Christ gave his life for the church, right? It talks about how the husband has to be selfless in so many ways, right? We have to make all these sacrifices and put our effort in doing so that we can present our wives holy without any blemish on her, and treat her gentle, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that takes sacrifice. It's going to cost us something to lay our life down, and sometimes we don't feel like laying our life down. Sometimes we're stuck in justifying ourselves. That's the beauty when we do it God's way and we are practical and applying God's word.
Mm-hmm.
His promises always are faithful, man. And I've seen it. I know we both have seen it. God is faithful, and it'll always result in God's victory for our lives. We're dealing with a circumstance where our spouse might not be. We might not feel like loving them, right? Maybe we're dealing with a lie, or we're dealing with an angry or a frustrating moment where maybe voices got raised, or we just didn't see eye to eye. Now what? Now we have to be the leaders in the forefront of coming and trying to bring peace and loving on them and sacrificing of ourselves and being the example for our wives, as Christ did, right? He came to serve and not be served. So in some cases, like, I know we can be stuck in our pride and be like, I'm waiting for her to apologize, man. I ain't whatever that. Mm-hmm. But I always think of Christ, man. He came to serve and not be served. And whether it was her, me, who went first, the power struggle, back to that topic we were talking about, that power struggle we come in with. Like, this is what I came with. Like, I don't care what you have to say. But marriage is awesome. When we do it God's way and we apply God's word, we are the living testimony of it. Marriage is awesome. It's beautiful. It doesn't compare to any happiness you can find with this new world view of YOLO and going to travel alone and go make your own money. And
there's some powerful stats behind healthy marriages, right? And healthy marriages, the men live longer.
Yeah.
You just throw that out there, right?
Yeah.
When you're married and you have a solid, marriage, and you're building foundation with being with one woman and take care of your kids, those men typically live longer. I don't have the stat right in front of me, but I could pull it up.
I'll give you a little something. I have it.
I think that's another like benefit of like health benefits, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like just living a healthy life. I think it's mental benefits of being married.
Yeah.
When you and your wife are balancing each other,
Yeah.
that's it's gonna bring mental healthness, right? And so to all the people who are listening to this who might not be Christians, right? You might be on the fence or you don't identify with being a Christian or whatever it is. I just want to encourage you guys that God's word never comes back void. Everything in his word, when we apply it to our lives, man, it fills us up. It's fulfilling and it's accurate. It's on point. I've never stood on something that I read in the Bible and then not see it not being played out. It might not happen like right then and there, right? Like we talk about marriage. Marriage, you're forever growing. So there's forever going to be seasons and different things that happen that you're going to have to learn how to manage, right? But as you grow, right, in Christ is strengthening you, you're strengthening your spouse, and you guys are balancing each other out. You guys are going to continue to grow and know how to handle certain situations. It doesn't stop situations from happening, but you guys know how to manage, know how to overcome those situations. The divorce word won't be getting thrown around in your household every time you guys get into an argument over why you forgot to take the garbage out. So you know, I'm getting divorced. No, man, listen, when we apply God's word, it fulfills us. It doesn't come back void. So that's just anybody listening who might be on, I ain't never getting married, man. Forget marriage. Listen, marriage is a blessing from God himself. The first ministry ever created is marriage. So don't put your church, don't put your pastor, don't put whatever it is that you're doing in your church over your family. If there's some things that you need to step down for a little bit, take that time, step down, get your house back in order. If you got to go to counseling, there's nothing wrong with counseling. There's nothing wrong with therapy. Go do those things with your spouse. Get that help. Don't be in pride, because you know what pride leads to. It just leads to destruction. And now that's a broken marriage. That's a broken household. Kids break. You got 2 Christmases and all this. Kids is just jacked up. Divorce jacks kids up, even adult kids. And so, yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to go into my little rabbit trail.
Oh, that's powerful, but that's something that's needed. We have to speak on it. So, health.harvard. This is an article that just talks about marriage and the heart and men's the health benefit for our hearts. It says if marriage protects health, the heart would be a likely beneficiary. It says scientists reported that never married men were 3 times more likely to die from cardiovascular disease than married men. The report from the Offspring study also suggests that marriage is truly heartwarming. It says after scientists evaluated over 3,000 adults over a 10-year period, this is after taking major cardiovascular risk factors such as age, body fat, smoking, blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol. Married men had 46% lower rate of death than unmarried men. And the same factor was for women. So there's obviously a health benefit to our health, right? Our mental health. And it gives us that companion, right? To keep us sharp, right? That's why a lot of these things, when it says that we're joined as one, is usually linked all the way into death, right? To that vow that we make. Because our health is, sometimes we are codependent on our spouse, and our health is on the line because we're so in tune with our spouse, right? Our mental, our physical, our spiritual bodies and beings are joined as one. We share this life together for a lifetime. So a lot of times that's when you see spouses like, one might pass away, and then like a year later, the other spouse passes away. But it's because sometimes there's a balance, and obviously even our physical health, and a lot of those things kind of go hand in hand. So there's obviously a health benefit. That's what makes marriage so awesome as well.
Yeah. Well, look, guys, man, we could be here literally for the rest of the night telling you guys the benefits of marriage, man. We both have. You just celebrated 10 years, right? In February.
Yeah. February
10
23rd.
years in February. So he got that young diamond under his belt, man. 10 of them things, dog. So shout outs to you and Jay. I'll be there next month. I'll be at 10. Me and my wife, we've been together.
That's what the B is for, the Bahamas.
The Bahamas? Y'all finna hit the Bahamas? I'm jumping in one of them suitcases, man. We taking our first family vacation. It's a little, the more I think about it, I'm like, oh snap, because we got a 2-year-old. We're going to Miami for my 13-year-old's birthday. We're gonna celebrate that with her. They got like this arts district, and she's into art and sketches and drawing. She's been getting heavy into that, so she wants to go see that. So we're going to Miami in a couple weeks. We'll be out there for 2 days. It's about to be the flight of the lifetime. With my little son, man, he gonna be on that thing, airplane at 2 years old. So I'm excited, man, for what God is doing. He's moving in a lot of new ways, opening up a lot of new doors and career opportunities for myself. And so, man, I look forward to the next, whatever God has for me going forward, man. And so it's amazing. But yeah, we definitely, man, we need to do a family trip, and then maybe we could do a show talking about it.
Yeah.
Like a 15-passenger van or something.
That's just another reason why marriage just gives you that opportunity to celebrate and have moments like this, man. Raising kids, going on vacations, and sharing that companionship with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful thing, man. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it's been a wrap. Episode number 2 is in the books. It's E and it's D. And we out of here, y'all. God bless, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all time. Thanks for rocking with us. This was a longer episode than we wanted it to go. But when we talk about marriage, man, this is what happens. And so until the next time, we'll see y'all. Peace.
Peace.